My name is Jeff Stein, and welcome to New York Nonprofit Media. I'm here in the CEO Corner with Masha, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Card, an organization with a decades-long history of helping some of the neediest individuals, Holocaust survivors across the country. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really great to have an opportunity to speak to you about the work that your organization is doing. Maybe to start, you can give a little historical background about why the Blue Card came to be and the work that you're continuing to do today.
Absolutely. So the Blue Card was started in Germany in the early 1930s when Hitler first rose to power, and then was reorganized in the United States in 1939 and started helping victims of Nazi persecution who were coming to the United States from all over the world. And the organizers were helping with stipends for rent, helping with finding jobs. I mean, many of them were menial jobs, and helping them to really somewhat find a semblance of a life in the United States. And many of those people who received help then still remember our assistance, and many have actually become involved as donors and as board members. In fact, one of our board members, our vice president, Frank, remembers getting $10 from the Blue Card when him and his family came over from Germany and settled in Washington Heights. And so he's been very active and very appreciative of that. And to this day, our sole mission is to provide financial assistance to needy Holocaust survivors in the United States.
Mm-hmm. So how does that translate in terms of programming? I know that you offer a wide range of services to, I think it's 2,400 Holocaust survivors across the country, many of them located here in New York.
Yes. Absolutely. So we work with social services, local social service agencies in the United States, in states like Florida and Ohio and California, that the survivors are connected to locally in their communities. And when they need financial assistance, such as dental, which is extremely costly, or hearing aids, or ongoing monthly help in order to make ends meet, when that agency cannot meet those needs, they refer to the Blue Card. So we're known as an agency of last resort. Mm-hmm. And it helps us keep our overhead low because the agencies are not on our payroll, and with our very limited staff, we're able to cast a wide net and work with a network of agencies who also they're doing the home visits, they're helping us to identify needs, emerging needs, and tell us if something has changed in the situation of a survivor and they needed more assistance and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, I know in New York here, obviously, costs are rising. It's becoming an increasingly difficult city for elderly New Yorkers to live in. How are those challenges translating to your population?
Exactly. I mean, it's extremely challenging, and we have survivors that we're helping that I have a survivor I was speaking to who rations out his medication to take half a dose per day instead of a full dose in order to make it last longer, and in order to be able to afford food. And that's just terrible. And you have SNAP cuts in food stamp benefits. You also have situations in New York City where there was a 2-survivor household and they were able to afford a rent of, let's say, $1,500 a month. When one survivor passes away, the burden of the rent falls on one of the remaining survivor, and oftentimes they cannot move. They're too old and frail. And many times we see that landlords take advantage of them. So we start seeing evacuation notices, we start seeing utility shutoff notices. And our help is really categorized in 3 ways. So we have emergency cash assistance, that's for true emergencies such as the utility shutoffs, the eviction notices, emergency dental care, and medical care. And then we have ongoing stipend. So that's monthly in order to bridge the gap between their income and expenses in order to prevent any type of emergencies. Mm-hmm. We also have additional programs for the holidays, so they can enjoy meaningful holiday season. And also on their birthday, they receive a beautiful card with a check for $100 so that they could buy themselves something small. And what have you. Currently this week, we also have 40 survivors who are on a summer retreat in the Berkshires, and it's very nice for them because instead of in this heat wave instead of being in their very small apartments, they're enjoying time with friends and being able to socialize and have, there's a children's side also where they're staying and the children come over and visit with them. Some of the children are the same ages as the survivors were during the war. So it's a very nice learning experience for them to speak to each other and very memorable.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know that your organization is also active in pushing city government to make positive changes for your population. What are some of the advocacy bents that your organization is working on?
Yes, so this year in April, we lobbied in front of City Hall in order to get funding passed in the city council budget, in the city budget specifically for Holocaust survivors, because that's so important for New York City, the city with the largest number of survivors, to recognize that they need our help and their needs are tremendous. And as of June, 1.5 million was passed in the city budget for needy Holocaust survivors. So we're very grateful for that, and we're hoping that the next step will be state and federal funding, and then for other cities to adopt this model as well.
Great. Switching gears a little bit to your role as executive director, how did you come to your position in the Blue Card, and what inspired you to get into this work?
Absolutely. So I actually grew up from the former Soviet Union, and my family, I have a Holocaust connection, and I felt very passionate about survivors and making sure that they were comfortable and that their stories lived on and that we were doing what we can for them. But I myself personally was shocked when I learned at the rates of poverty in the United States that survivors faced, and I really did some research and I got to see some of the cases we're helping, and I saw that people were, with the incidences of cancer were much higher than the greater general population, and that these people really, many of them either did not have children, they could not have children, or their children live far away. And just the fear of institutionalization and being in a hospital setting triggers so many memories, or having to go to a nursing home, it terrifies them. So I immediately got involved. This was in 2009. And it's been, really an honor for me since then, because our mission is so focused on financial assistance and making sure these people are safe in their homes and comfortable, that I feel this pressure because it's a time-limited issue. We're losing survivors every day. And I feel that it's our responsibility to do what we can for them now, because 10 years from now, we don't want to say as a community that we didn't do all we can for them. And that inspires me every day and inspires our small staff of 3 every day at the Blue Card office.
Great. And here in the CEO Corner, we always ask executive directors just sort of general leadership philosophies, guiding your organization through obviously tumultuous times in the nonprofit sector. What is your approach to leading?
My approach to leading is really empowering the staff. And considering that we're such a small size, everyone wears many hats, so there's no task that's too small or too great for anyone, including myself. And I myself handle varieties of different things on a daily basis, and it just empowering the staff to make their own decisions. And if it means making their own mistakes, that's fine. It's a learning experience. And in our industry, we're not in it for the money. And so we're in it to feel good, to do good, and to feel an impact of our work. So with our work, when we're talking to survivors and we're getting their thank you notes and we're seeing a thank you note that said, "Thank you for letting me get new dentures because I can finally eat," or "You restored my independence and I cannot go on without you." That's what keeps us going every day, and it's these little things and little tokens of appreciation that mean so much.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming in to speak to us about all of the wonderful work that the Blue Card is doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.